Hey, 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 it's the Mana Daddy here, Lord of the Soul Rings, the OG Mana Dork, the Town Scryer, Mower of the Graveyard, Kalamax the Corn-Sire, Gavi, Nest Patron, Cold Beer Me the Ever-Playful, Jirina Kudro's father-in-law, Delicious and Lutricious, your companion who is too good to banyan. We're here. I just got in the mail Commander 2020. I opened up here. We're going to open it up. I'm going to take a look. So, let's just pick one of these at random, and we'll crack it open. We're going to look at the cards, talk about the cards. I'll divide up the cards into piles. So every single one comes with this rather useless, giant, oversized commander. There's apparently been shipping delays on these. Leave a comment. Did you get yours on time? Are you ordering one later? Is the shipping taking forever? We got a little life thing. Does it go all the way up to 40 for Commander? Ooh. 39, 40? Yep. No, it's double-sided. Be nice if it went above 40. We got a blank card. Guess make your own token. That's something. A little card telling you about other Magic formats. Look, Standard, Booster Draft, Commander, learn more, Discover Magic. So this deck, in case you couldn't read it before, Kalamax the Stormsire. Hopefully that's somewhat in focus for you. Kalamax, whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if it's tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Whenever you copy an instant spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kalamax. Seems like a fun commander, maybe not the most competitive, because you do have to get it tapped down, which means either attacking with it or having some tricks to tap it down. There's some good tricks like using Court of Calling, which you convoke with it and then tap it down and double the cord. And then alternate commander here, we got Xyrus the Writhing Storm. Whenever an opponent draws a card, except for the first one they draw on each of their turns, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. Whenever Xyrus the Writhing Storm deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. It's interesting. Again, could make some fun play. And then, oh, more alternate commanders. These are all foils here. Haldan, Avid Arcanist. It's a human wizard, partners with Paco, Arcane Retriever. This little elemental hound. Haldan's ability is you may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch counters on them if you exile them.
That is so fetch.
And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Okay. Partner with Haldane. Haste. Whenever Paco Arcane Retriever attacks, exile the top card of each player's library, put a fetch counter on each of them.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Put a +1/+1 counter on Paco for each non-creature card exiled this way. So if you hit creatures, Haldan can call them back. If not, you're making Paco bigger. Making it for more attacks. Okay, we got a bunch of different tokens. Goblin Warriors, 2 beasts, 2 4/4 beasts, a bunch of 3/3 beasts. Saprolings, 2 Saprolings. Command Tower, it's good value. Best landing commander, other than Island maybe. Frontier Bivouac, Tri-land. Not a Triome, it's just the original comes into play tapped. Gruul Turf, the bounce land. Original Ravnica, I got the originals of those. Halimar Depths, Is It Boilerworks, another bounce. Myriad Landscape, Rupture Spire, Simic Growth Chamber, Rugged Highlands, Swiftwater Cliffs. It's either gain life, lands, Thornwood Falls, forest. Get us to the exciting stuff. Decoy Gambit. For each opponent, choose up to 1 target creature that player controls, then return that creature to its owner's hand unless its controller has you draw a card. Interesting. I think I know a deck I can put that in. Let me start separating these out. So the question is how much of this deck to keep together. Eon Frolicker, Nascent Metamorph. Deflecting Swat. I love these. This is the free spell for this deck. So, 2 and a red, but if you control your commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. What does it do? You change targets for target's spell or ability. Pretty nice. It's got a picture of, I think that's supposed to be Kalamax. It's some dinosaur with a lot of lightning getting deflected. Got Lava Brink Floodgates, which is kind of a wah-wah red ramp card. It's an artifact, but has a red in the mana cost. Each player's upkeep, you put a doom counter on it and remove a doom counter from it. If it has 3 or more doom counters on it, sacrifice it. When you do it, deal 6 damage to each creature. So if you have a couple partners at the table, you could team up to wipe with it, but I think it really relies on your politics skills, and that's, some games could be hit or miss. Curious Herd. So that's what we need the 3/3 green beast tokens for. You create X 3/3 green beast creature tokens, where X is the number of artifacts that player controls. Glade Muse, also a beast. Whenever a player casts a spell, if it's not their turn, that player draws a card. I guess reward people for playing instants. Kind of cool. Card draw in green, is always useful. This is a Devour Beast. Twinning Staff. Now this is great with Kalamax here. So what does this do? This is if you would copy a spell one or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time, you may choose new targets for the additional copy. So when you've got your commander constantly copying spells, it's pretty good. And then 7 and tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. So it seems steep, but 7 and tap, it's copy a spell twice. So, 3 unsummons for 8 mana. Might be okay. Jace, Architect of Thought. Is this a good Jace? I'm told it's not. Till your next turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, it gets -1, -0 until end of turn. Okay. -2, reveal the top 3 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library in any order. So factor fictioning. That's cool. And -8, the ultimate for each player. Search that player's library for a non-land card and exile it. Then that player shuffles their library. You may cast those cards without paying their mana costs. So that's pretty cool in a multiplayer game. You get a bunch, you had to plus Jace 4 times to do it. So on the 5th turn, you can do it. Whenever you cast an instant spell, you make 1. If you do, draw a card. That's cool. A wizard. Might go in a wizard's deck. Niblis of Frost. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So got more rares here. Swarm Intelligence. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you may copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So 7 mana, but getting auto copies. Pumped in the Kalamax. Talrand, Sky Summoner. This is a good one. Merfolk and a wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. I don't think we got any Drake tokens, though. That's annoying. Chaos Warp. Great card. Should be in basically every red commander deck. Some way to deal with enchantments, right? Owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library. Very useful. Spot removal. Charmbreaker Devils. You can return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever you cast it, it gets +4/+0. More rares and mythics here. Comet Storm, multi-kicker. Choose any target and choose another target for each time the spell was kicked. It deals X damage to each of them. That costs red, and X. Immune with Lava also costs red, and X. Exile the top X cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So, impulsive draw for red. I like that. I don't know if I have a good place for that in a red deck. I'll have to look. Dual Caster Mage. And there's the battlefield. Copy target instant or sorcery spell. That's pretty cool. Usually that effect is 2 mana on a spell, so just putting it on a body also makes it abusable. Atali, Primal Storm, Elder Dinosaur. Whenever it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. You may then cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. Goblin Dark Dwellers, 4/4 Menace. When Goblin Dark Dwellers enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. And another red X. Starstorm deals X damage to each creature. Cycling 3. Discard this card, draw a card. A lot of X spells here. But this is not the deck that has the commander, or the alternate commander that cares about X spells. It's interesting. Strength of the Tajuru. Multi-kicker 1. Choose target creature. Then choose another target creature for each time a spell was kicked. Put X +1/+1 counters on each of them. These are fun instants that you can double up with the Kalamax. There's another instant. Artifact Mutation. Destroyed target artifact. Create X 1/1 green sapling creature tokens with X is that artifact's converted mana cost. Fun. Not as good as Decimate, maybe. Jin Illuminatus. Man, I remember this from the original Ravnica sets. Was it a Guild Pact? 3/5 flying. Each instant and sorcery spell you cast has Replicate. The Replicate cost is equal to its mana cost. So when you cast it, copy it for each time you pay its Replicate cost. That just can get ridiculous. Melek. Is it Paragon? Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may cast instant sorcery spells from the top of your library. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell from your library, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. That's pretty awesome too. Prophetic Bolt. 4 damage to any target. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Rashmi, Eternity's Crafter. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card with converted mana cost less than that spell's, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast the revealed card, put it into your hand. So, card advantage all around. Wart, the Raid Mother. I just bought one of these, but that's okay. So it's a 3/3 Goblin Shaman, or Shaman, for 6, and when it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 red and green Goblin Warrior tokens, so you're getting 5 power and toughness. And then each red or green instant or sorcery spell you cast has Conspire, which means as you cast the spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it. When you do, copy it, and you may choose new targets for the copies. Solemn Simulacrum, just kind of a basic, not really ramp, right? Oh, no, it is ramp, right? Because you put it onto the battlefield tap. So, expensive ramp. But when it dies, you draw a card. So, if you have a sack outlet. Oh, we got a Cinderglade. Mountain Forest. Enters the battlefield tap unless you control 2 or more basic lands. We got a Desolate Lighthouse, which lets you draw a card then discard a card for 3. Exotic Orchard. It's another great card to have in basically any deck. Kessig Wolf Run. Target creature gets +X/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Mossfire Valley. It's like I guess what they call the Signet land. So you colorless tap. Mosswort Bridge. Hideaway land. Comes into play tapped. That's part of the hideaway thing. If you read that text and you exile a card face down, and then for green and tap, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater, which does happen quite a bit in Commander. And there's some good commanders that come in with 10 or more power, like Gelta. Oran-Reef, the Vastwood, enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap to add a green, or you can tap to put a +1/+1 counter on each green creature that entered the battlefield this turn. That's kind of cool. Scavenger Ground, sacrifice a desert, exile all cards from all graveyards. Graveyard Hate, nice to see. Yavimaya Coast, I remember this from, was it Ice Age when these originally came out? Adakar Waste, the Painlands. Mountains. Bonder's Ornament. This is a 3-mana Mana Rock, which is about all you need to know. Arcane Signet, part of the big money of the deck. It is quote-unquote common, but they've only previously been printed in the Brawl decks for Eldraine, so it's nice to see more of these out. You basically will put this in any commander deck. 2-mana Mana Rock, gives you any color of your commander's colors. Commander Sphere, Lightning Greaves, another good one. Soul Ring, another one that just comes in like any commander deck. Clash of Titans, so that's in the actual, these are some cards that are in the actual set. Channel Force, Primal Empathy, Psychic Impetus. Oh, the Impetus cards. These use that goad mechanic. These are the ones a lot of people are recommending to take out and replace with more powerful stuff, but they can be fun in a multiplayer game. Psychic Impetus, +2/+2. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you scry 2. +2/+2. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, create a treasure token. Red ramp, useful. Predatory Impetus. Whenever it attacks, it must be blocked if able. Chemist's Insight. Frantic Search. Murmuring Mystic. It's a great card. Whiplash Trap. Surreal Memoir. Return an instant card at random from your graveyard to your hand, and it has rebound. That's fun. Crop Rotation. Very useful for setting up land-based combos. Not ramp though. Just changes a land into another land. Evolution Charm. Harrow. Some ramp. Hunter's Insight. Choose target creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker this turn, draw that many cards. Draw. So yeah, if you don't know about commander deck building, the keys are you need ramp, and you need draw, and you need stuff that synergizes, and their third category, oh yeah, removal. So look up different videos. Hopefully I'll talk about it more in my commander videos when I make them. But depending on how competitive you are, you get more spot removal or more board wipe type removal. Slice and Twain, Tribute to the Wild. Each opponent sacrifices an artifact or enchantment. And it's an instant, so you can double that up with your Kalamax. Wilderness Reclamation. Useful for Kalamax, right? Just untap on everybody's turn, or untap for under your turn. Crackling Drake. That's a demanding card to cast. You might want to take that one out. It's a great card though. It's star 4 flying. Its power is equal to the number of instant sorcery cards in exile and in your graveyard. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Growth Spiral. ramp, and a Teamer Charm. Which one of these should we do next? I think it's Nest Warden, the big money, big money, big money. Timeless Wisdom is the name of this deck. And there's a card in here, basically selling the whole set here. I'm debating whether I should sell it now while there aren't as many copies out there. Take out. Ooh. At least only somewhat pringled. Got the blank and the thing and this. What are these things actually? Poster? Okay, so yeah, it tells you about things and the commander rules. What do you want your deck to do? Gavi Nest Warden is an eccentric human who lives in the wilds, nurturing and protecting her adopted litter of cat dinosaurs. You like the lore of the thing? I think they've done a nice job, considering this is like really meant to be a Godzilla tie-in. I think nonetheless Ikoria feels like its own world with the crystals and different mutation stuff. There's Gavi. This is the voice I'm doing for Gavi, I guess. Legendary creature, human shaman. You may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn. Always powerful in Magic to pay 0 for anything. I like to pay 0 in real life. So I'm cheap sometimes. Whenever you draw your second card, get on free cycle, folks. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, like when you cycle on your turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token. Oh my! Gavi, so much fun! Okay, let's look at the commander nobody's gonna play out of here. People might play it. It's a bird dinosaur. People like birds. They like dinosaurs. This is a 3/4 flying Akeem, the Soaring Wind. Whenever you create 1 or more tokens for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. So, you like tokens? I got you more tokens to go with your tokens. And 6 mana creature tokens you control gain double strike. That's cool. Okay, here's the other powerful commanders here. So we've got the partner commanders in every one. This one is Brallin, I don't know how you say it. Sky Shark Rider, and Shabraz the Sky Shark. They partner with each other. Brallin is whenever you discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Brallin, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And Shabraz is whenever you draw a card, it's flying, 3/3. Put a +1/+1 counter on Shabraz, and you gain 1 life. And then for hybrid Azorius mana, target human gains flying until end of turn, so you can make Brallin flying. And Brallin's reciprocal ability is for a red target shark gains trample until end of turn. So that's cool. There are definitely some busted combos where you're just constantly discarding cards and dealing damage with Brallin. So I think I have to consider that for my Nekusar deck. I'm going to set that aside. And what a surprise, in our tokens we got a bunch of dinosaur cats. We got a spirit, we got a soldier, got some 3/1 elementals, got a 1/1 insect. You're going to make more than that with the creature that makes insects. We'll see in a second. Ash Barrens, Azorius Chancery, Boris Garrison, Command Tower, Desert of the Fervent, Desert of the Mindful, Desert of the True. You like deserts, Gavi? We got you some deserts to go with your deserts. Drifting Meadow, Forgotten Cave, Is It Boilerworks, Lonely Sandbar, Drifting Meadow, Forgotten Cave, Lonely Sandbar, all cycling lands. Myriad Landscape, Mystic Monastery, that's the tap tri-land. Replace it with the Triome if you get one of those in your Ikoria. Pax, Reliquary Tower, Commander Classic, you have no maximum hand size land. Remote Isle, another cycling land. Secluded Steppe, another cycling land. Smoldering Crater, another cycling land. Temple of the False God, hotly debated commander card. Is it worth it? Adds 2, but you have to have 5 or more lands. Bunch of islands, bunch of mountains. Cryptic Trilobite, this is a fun card. Kind of like a budget walking ballista. It's XX. There's the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters. You can remove a +1/+1 counter to add 2 colorless. And then you can pay 1 and tap, put a +1/+1 counter on Cryptic Trilobite. So there are combos that do things with that. I'm going to set that aside. See if there's a deck I have that could use that. Dismantling Wave, Herald of the Forgotten, Crystalline Resonance. Whenever you cycle a card, you may have Crystalline Resonance become a copy of another target permanent until your next turn, except it has this ability. So cycle something for free, turn this into a land, get a little ramp. Ethereal Forger, it's a delve. Whenever it attacks, you may return an instant or sorcery exiled with Ethereal Forger to its owner's hand. Delve, very powerful. I never want to write off a card with Delve. Here it is. Here's the money card right here. Couldn't wait to get to it. Fierce Guardianship. 2 and a blue. Or is it? Because if you control your commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. Free counterspells, free counterspells, free counterspells. We got it. We got a free counterspell. It's like everybody loves it. Well, not on the receiving end, but they're expensive. Force of Will, Pact of Negation, and now Fierce Guardianship. Joining the club. Definitely going to consider putting that somewhere else. Agitator Ant, beginning of your end step. Each player may put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature they control. Goad each creature that had counters. Put it on this way. Whoa, super goad. They really are pushing the goad. Spellpire Phoenix, 4/2 flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target instant or sorcery card with a cycling ability from your graveyard to your hand. Nice card advantage, 2 for 1. In the beginning of each end step, if you cycle 2 or more cards this turn, return Spellpire Phoenix from your graveyard to your hand. Because it's a Phoenix, gotta come back. There's another Phoenix in Ikoria proper, so. Whenever you discard a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on Surly Badgersaur. Whenever you discard a land card, create a treasure token. Whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, Surly Badgersaur fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Badger Dinosaur. Something I didn't think I wanted, but maybe I do. Akroma's Vengeance, 6 mana, destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Cycling 3, cycling board wipe, nice. Astral Drift, from the recent Modern Horizons set. Whenever you cycle it or another card while Astral Drift is on the battlefield, you may exile target creature. If you do, return that card, so it just turns all your cycling cards into blink effects. Very powerful. Cycles for 2 and a white. Or for 0, if you have Gavi, Nest Warden. Maybe make her like Katherine Hepburn. Gavi, Nest Warden. Oh, that's more like Cary Grant. Decree of Justice. Look at this crazy mana cost. X, 2, white. Create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying, and it cycles, and if you cycle it, you may pay X, and if you do, you create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Very weird, but I think I have a soldier's deck, so I'm going to consider that for it. Descend upon the Sinful. Another board wipe. Exile all creatures, and create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Oh, cool. Eternal Dragon, 5/5 flying, another very expensive card, but it's plain cycling for 2, and you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. Hoofprints of the Stag, tribal enchantment, elemental. Whenever you draw a card, you may put a Hoofprint counter on Hoofprints of the Stag. For 3, remove 4 Hoofprint counters from Hoofprints of the Stag. Create a 4/4 white elemental creature token with flying. Activate this ability only during your turn. Hate for you to make a 4/4 flying elemental and surprise somebody. Sun Titan, now this is a good card. 6/6 Vigilance. Whenever it attacks, or enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, take that, Lutri. Take that, Luris, not Lutri. Whenever I should have left that uncorrected. See if you were listening. You leave a comment. Let me know if you were listening. Curator of Mysteries. 4/4 flying. Whenever you cycle or discard another card, scry 1, and it cycles for 1. 4/4 flying for 4. Seems like good value. Drake Haven. It's another great cycling payoff here. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1. If you do, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. New Perspectives. Draw 3 cards. As long as you have 7 or more cards in hand, you may pay 0 rather than pay cycling costs. Seems good. Free cycling. Free cycle. Free cycle. I told you, everybody. Free cycle. Nimble Obstructionist. This is a great one. 3/1 flying flash. Cycles for 3. Whenever you cycle it, counter target activated or triggered ability you don't control. Portal Mage. When it enters the battlefield during declare attacker step, you may reselect which player or planeswalker target attacking creature is attacking. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Chandra Flamecaller. So 6 mana Chandra. Create 2 3/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste. For 0, discard all the cards in your hand and draw that many cards +1. So that's a little discard trigger. And it deals X damage to each creature. So you can just play it as a board wipe too. Tectonic Reformation. Each land card in your hand has cycling. I know this is another reprint from the recent Modern Horizons, and a good one. People think that's a very underrated card, and I agree. Isperia, Supreme Judge. 6/4 flying. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw a card. I always like to draw cards. Mercurial Chemister. Blue and tap, draw 2 cards. Red and tap, discard a card. Mercurial Chemister deals damage to target creature equal to the discarded card's converted mana cost. There you go. Draw and removal on a body. Niv Mizzet, the Firemind. There's another one, I think, from the original Ravnica. 4/4 flying. Whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target, and Tap to draw a card. Here's another big money card reprint here, and I was talking about the insect tokens. It's the Locust God, legendary creature God. Whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. You pay 4, draw a card, then discard a card. When the Locust God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So hard to kill. Just makes so many insects so fast. Just save up all your draw spells. Pop that down. Draw a bunch of cards, make a bunch of insects. Hard to attack into with the insects blocking in the air. It's nasty. Abandoned Sarcophagus. You may cast spells that have cycling ability from your graveyard. Fluctuator. Here's one they didn't think they would dare reprint in this deck, and they did. Cycling abilities you activate cost up to 2 less to activate. I have my one semi-competitive legacy deck uses Fluctuator. It's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You just cycle a bunch of cards, combo off with creatures in your graveyard, kill people on turn 2 or 3. Psychosis Crawler. Power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Exotic Orchard. Hostile Desert. Irrigated Farmland. Nice. Reprinting the dual cycling lands. Prairie Stream. Nice. That's a white-blue Plains Island and enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Shivan Reef, Painland, Skycloud Expanse, Signet Land, Mountains, 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 Plains, Bonder's Ornament. There's another Arcane Signet, we talked about that. Azorius Signet, Boros Signet, Commander Sphere, Izzet Signet. This deck gets all the signets. The signets, you just want to put all the signets in your deck most of the time. That should be your default. Soul Ring, Signets, Rogrin Crystal. So this is from Ikoria proper, it's the cycling crystal. Valiant Rescuer, nice cycling payoff. Boon of the Wishgiver, 1 mana cycler. Neutralize, cycling counterspell. Ominous Seas, oh that's cool that this is in here. Been enjoying playing that in Limited. It's actually surprisingly easy in a cycling deck to get this up to 8 counters and make an 8/8 blue Kraken token. They didn't give us the token though, did they? Reconnaissance Mission, cycling card draw if you can get an invasive creature through. You probably can if you got a bunch of 1/1 insects. Rooting Moloch lets you replay cycling from your graveyard. Savai Thundermane, you can pay 2 when you cycle and zap something. Zenith Flare, oh, so good. It's good in Standard, good in Limited, and I presume good in Commander. Martial Impetus, so again, the Impetus card's probably the first cuts out of here, but chain creature gets +1/+1 and is goaded whenever it attacks. Each other creature that's attacking one of your opponents gets +1/+1, so incentivizes people to attack, get more of their attacks. Psychic Impetus, +2/+2. Scribe, saw that one earlier. Shiny Impetus, this is the one that makes the treasure tokens. I like this one actually the best, probably. If you're going to not cut one, it'd probably be that. So I like Ramp. Cast Out, solid 4 mana removal that cycles. Spirit Cairn, whenever a player discards a card, you may pay white. If you do, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Remember, cycling causes discard. Hieroglyphic Illumination, draw 2 cards with cycling. Vizier of the Tumbling Sands, untap another target permanent. I definitely have another use for that. I'm going to make some kind of tap on tappers kind of deck I'm working on anyway. When you cycle it, you untap target permanent. That'll go in the pile of stuff to put in other decks. Windfall, great mini Wheel of Fortune. Lightning Rift, whenever a player cycles a card, you may pay 1. If you do, Lightning Rift deals 2 damage to any target. Slice and Dice, deals 4 damage to each creature. Cycles for 3. When you cycle Slice and Dice, you may have it deal 1 damage to each creature. And our final card here, Migratory Route. Create 4 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying, and it basic land cycles for 2. That's probably what you're going to do with it almost all the time. Get them lands. Alright. So that is the Gavi Nest Warden deck. What do you think of this shag carpet? Let me know in the comments. Okay, next one. Cathril Aspect Warper. Symbiotic Swarm. Get the thing. There's the box if you're curious. You could put cards in there, I guess. It's not quite the right size. Just have to put them down flat. Well, why on earth the packaging people can't design better boxes? I guess they just want you to buy boxes from third-party vendors. Okay, here we got some counters. And I'm guessing the reason for that is because Cathril, Aspect Warper, it's a 3/3 for 5. When it enters the battlefield, you put a flying counter on any creature you control if a creature card in your graveyard has flying. Okay. Repeat this process for first strike, double strike, death touch, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, and vigilance. Then put a +1/+1 counter on Cathril for each counter put on a creature this way. I think almost all the time people are going to be using Cathril for what they call the what do they call the strategy where you make your commander really big? Try to hit for commander damage. I'm blanking on it. Alright. Cathril. Make him big, make him hit hard. Alt Commander Tayam, Luminous Enigma. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional vigilance counter on it, aka probably just a vigilance counter. And then you remove 3 counters from among creatures you control, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, return a permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, nice graveyard recursion thing. Also kind of works with Cathril with the counter thing. And then our partners are Nikara, Lair Scavenger. 2/2 Menace. Whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had 1 or more counters on it, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Okay. And that partners with Yannick, Scavenging Sentinel. Vigilance, 3/3. When Yannick enters the battlefield, exile another creature you control until Yannick leaves the battlefield. When you do, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures where X is the exiled creature's power. Wrap your mind around that. And we got some spirit tokens. Myriad Landscape, Orzhov Basilica, Sandstep Citadel, Selesnya Sanctuary, Blossoming Sands, meh. Revolving Wilds, meh. Jungle Hollow, meh. Scoured Barrens, meh. Meh sounds for all the life gain lands. Plains. Trying to think if there's any highlights here. Avenging Hunt Bonder. Oh yeah, so this deck has the Cartographer's Hawk. This is a hotly debated card. It's a 2/1 flying for 2. Seems good. Bird. When it deals combat damage to a player who controls more lands than you, return it to its owner's hand. If you do, you may search your library for a Plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So it's ramp, slow ramp, conditional ramp, but wait, get some ramp. Very exciting for people who care about that. Vitality Hunter, 3/4 lifelink Nightmare with Monstrosity, Daring Fiend Bonder, Netherborn Altar. Oh, this is an interesting card. So you tap, put a soul counter on it, and put your commander into your hand from the command zone. Then you lose 3 life for each soul counter on it. So you can pay life instead of the 2 extra mana. Of course, it builds up with the counters, but this is a deck that manipulates counters. And this actually allows you to play certain commanders that can only be played from your hand. So this is going to open up some new commander deck. And I don't think I'll be playing any of those really difficult commanders, but you might enjoy challenges. And if you do, you're going to have to tutor for this, get it onto the battlefield, protect it, get your commander into your hand, and then you can play it. Stuff like, what's the creature that, if you don't cast it from your hand, you lose the game? Legendary creature. Let me know in the comments. I'm blanking on the name. Obscuring Haze. Select. Oh wait, this is our free spell. If you control a commander, it fogs. The fog. That's not the free spell people are excited about, obviously. Selective Adaptation. Sorcery for 6. Reveal the top 7 cards of your library. Choose from among them a card with flying, first strike, so on, for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, and vigilance. Put one of the chosen cards onto the battlefield, the other chosen cards into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. Slippery Bogbonder, a little reference to the Slippery Bogle. This is the human druid that bonds with it, who's also hexproof. When it enters the battlefield, put a hexproof counter on target creature. So it turns something into a Slippery Bogle. Then move any number of counters from among creatures you control onto that creature. So you can make a super creature, a Voltron, if you will. Nesting Grounds. Taps to add colorless or move a counter from target permanent you control into another target permanent. Love this card. I think... Do I know if there's a deck where I can use it better? I might have one. Akroma, Angel of Wrath. Why is Akroma so good in this deck? Because she's got flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, protection from black and from red. Angel of Finality, Cataclysmic Gearhulk, Kalemni's Captain, Giant Soldier, 5/5 vigilance. Odric, Lunarch Marshal. So this is a great guy. 3/3 is a reprint. Legendary creature, human soldier. At the beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn if a creature you control has first strike. Same is true for flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance. Revelark, king of many combos, I believe. You can evoke it for 6 and then return creatures and whatnot. Solemn Recruit, 2/2 double strike dwarf warrior. Revolt. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Solemn Recruit. So it also has counter. Synergy. Sunblast Angel. Destroy all tap creatures. So kind of a board wipe. You have to take a hit. So it's so white, you got to take a hit. It destroys tap stuff. And it doesn't hurt vigilance anyways. Poor white in Commander. Here's an enchantment. It supports 2, and then you can pay 1. Choose target creature with the counter on it. When that creature dies, return that card to its owner's hand. Zatalpa, Primal Dawn. Another keyword soup. 4/8 flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible for 8 mana. Cairn Wanderer. It's 4/4 changeling. And as long as you have a card with flying, fear, first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, land walk, lifelink, protection, reach, trample, shroud, and vigilance in a graveyard, it also has that. Ever After.
Just breathe.
Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Each of those creatures is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Soul of Innistrad. Soulflayer. This is another one of those keyword soup in the graveyard cards. So it's a 4/4, but you can delve. So it's cost 6. It's already very good. And then if a creature card with flying was exiled with Soulflayer's delve ability, it has flying. Same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, reach, trample, and vigilance. Hornet Queen. It's a nice fun commander card. Makes a bunch of insects. Majestic Myriarch. Myriarch. It's a Chimera. Chimera. Power and toughness each equal to twice the number of creatures you control, and at the beginning of each combat it gains flying. If you control a creature with flying, same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, and vigilance. It's like Wizards. You can't invent more keyword names or you're gonna run out of room on these type of cards. Splinter Fright, Star Trample, power and toughness each equal number of creature cards in your graveyard. Abzan Ascendancy, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you get a 1/1 spirit and got +1 counters. Ajani Unyielding, Archon of Valor's Reach, Deathbridge Chant. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 10 cards of your library into your graveyard. Good for Commander. Mill 10th of your deck, and then you choose a card at random in your graveyard. If it's a creature card, put it onto the battlefield, otherwise put it into your hand. So then it starts eating your graveyard away, but you know. Dune Blast. Choose up to 1 creature, destroy the rest. Up to 1 creature. You can just wipe the whole board if you want. That's a nice Abzan board wipe. Karametra, God of Harvests. Here's some more money. One of the old Theros gods. 6/7 indestructible. Devotion to green and white. Less than 7. It's not a creature. When you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest or plains, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. So just start ramping. Mimic Vat. This is a fun card. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you may exile that card. So that's how it imprints. And then you can pay 3 and tap and create a token that's a copy of the card exiled with Mimic Vat, and it gains haste and then it dies. But, you know, if it has an ETB effect, you're in good shape. Canopy Vista, that's nice. The Forest Plains. Caves of Koilos, this is the white-black pain land. Exotic Orchard. Gavi Township. 4 and tap, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Grim Backwoods. 4 and tap, sacrifice a creature, draw a card. That's fun. Sungrass Prairie. Especially if you actually want that creature in the graveyard for its keyword abilities. It's a Signet Land. Blighted Woodland, Command Tower, Golgari Rot Farm, Croson Verge, Memorial to Folly, Bonder's Ornament, meh. Arcane Signet, Commander Sphere, Soul Ring, Swiftfoot Boots, Blood Curdle, Unbreakable Bond, Void Beckoner, Titanoth, Rex. This is one of the ones you can get skinned as Godzilla. 11/11 trample and it cycles for 2. Martial Impetus, creature gets +1/+1 and is goaded. A really cheap goad. Parasitic Impetus. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Whenever it attacks, its controller loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. Predatory Impetus. 3/3 must be blocked if able. Got Aerial Responder, which is a dwarf with a lot of flying, vigilance, lifelink. Unburial Rites, great card. Vampire Nighthawk, keyword soup. Acidic Slime gets a removal for artifacts, enchantments, or lands. Cultivate, ramp. Harmonize, draw. Sakura Tribelder, ramp. Zeta Wayfinder, ramp. Skullwinder, a 1/3 death touch snake. When it enters the battlefield, return target card from your graveyard to your hand, then choose an opponent. That player returns a card from their graveyard to their hand. Little politics card. Abzan Charm, Death Sprout, removal and ramp. D-Spark, removal. Grizzly Salvage, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or land card from among them into your hand and put the rest in the graveyard. Stock that graveyard. Nyx Weaver, enchantment creature spider. 2/3, at the beginning of your upkeep, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, so just constant graveyard filling. And then look, we got all the bunch of these punch out double-sided token cards. That is the Cathril deck. Gingerly! Ah! Okay, what does Jirina do? She is a legendary creature, human soldier, 3/3 for 4. And when she enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. A commander. Other humans you control get +2/+0. So, buffing humans, the name of her game. She comes with Kelsey and the Plague, another human assassin. 2/2 Vigilance Haste, gets +1/+1 for each experience counter you have. A couple cards that deal with the experience counters. You'll have to look them up. That happened when I was at the game. Taps, does 1 damage to target creature you don't control. When that creature dies, you get an experience counter. So it's a little timmy-pingy counters thing. Trin, Champion of Freedom, human soldier for 3/3. Beginning of your end step, if you attacked this turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Making more humans. Sylvar, Devourer of the Free, Cat Nightmare. Not a human. Partners with Trin, and it's a 4/2 menace. Sacrifice a human, put a +1/+1 counter on Sylvar, Devourer of the Free. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Trin might go in my soldiers deck. Let's see. Human soldiers. That's cool. Different art for human soldiers than I've seen before. I've seen that one before. Lots of just regular 1/1 humans. Bunch of those. Ojuka Bog. This is a great card. I think I probably have a better use for that than in this deck. Boros Garrison, Command Tower, Myriad Landscape, Nomad Outpost, Orzhov Basilica, Path of Ancestry, Rakdos Carnarium, Temple of the False God, Unclaimed Territory, Name Human, Bloodfell Caves. This is Lifeland, Evolving Wild, Scoured Barrens, Lifeland, Windscarred Crag, Mountain, Plains. Call the Coppercoats. So the spell costs 1 and a white more to cast for each target beyond the first. Choose any number of target opponents. Create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of creatures those opponents control. Interesting. Well, that sounds kind of good. Might consider that in my soldier deck too. Flawless Maneuver. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. This is going to have to be my budget Teferi's Protection, because I don't have Teferi's Protection. I'll put that in my mono white, one of my mono white decks. I think I just have the one actually. Verge Rangers, here we go. Here's another controversial white card. 3/3 first strike. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as an opponent controls more lands than you, you may play lands from the top of your library. So, conditional kind of land card advantage thing. Species Specialist, 2/3. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You could choose human, because whenever a creature of the chosen type dies, you may draw a card. So, make it hard for your opponents to kill you. Titan Hunter, 4/5. At the beginning of each player's end step, if no creatures died this turn, Titan Hunter deals 4 damage to that player. And then you can sacrifice a creature to gain 4 life. So, there's some, decks that like to sacrifice stuff, aristocrat stuff, that will enjoy that card.
I had heard about the aristocrats.
Fireflux Squad, 4/3 haste. When it attacks, you may exile another target attacking creature you control. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is kind of like a polymorph kind of thing. Frontier Warmonger, human warrior for 4/4. Whenever one or more creatures attack one of your opponents or a planeswalker they control, those creatures gain menace. So menace buddy. Molten Echoes. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. I choose human. Whenever a non-token creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. That token gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Sanctuary Blade. Choose a color. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has protection from the last chosen color. Doesn't seem great. Very expensive. Bounty Agent. Had big hopes for Bounty Agent. It's a 2/2. If it had haste, so you could come down, tap, destroy target legendary permanent, that would be even better. Citywide Bust, little conditional board wipe. Cleansing Nova, board wipe. Dearly Departed. What does this do? So 5/5 Flying Spirit. As long as it's in your graveyard, each human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Frontline Medic, Human Cleric. Counter target spell with X in its mana cost unless its controller pays 3. Huh. Well, maybe that's why they put X spells in that other deck, just to make this card halfway decent. Increasing Devotion, create 5/1/1 white human creature tokens. If the spell was cast from a graveyard, create 10. Nice. Knight of the White Orchid, love this card. 2/2 first strike, enters the battlefield. If opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a plains, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle your library. That's white ramp. Somewhat conditional, but still. Magus of the Disc, board wipe. Odric, Master Tactician, different Odric, the one we saw previously. This is a 3/4 first strike, and when it and at least 3 other creatures attack, you can choose which creatures block this combat and how those creatures block. I've totally wrecked people with this card. Riders of Gavi, 3/3 Vigilance. Human creatures you control have protection from creatures of the chosen type. Talia's Lieutenant. Thalia's Lieutenant? How do you say it? Leave a comment. Are you a hard T Talia person? Are you a hard TH Thalia? Are you a thick TH Thalia? Well, let me know in the comments. There's a battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other human you control. Seems pretty good. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Talia's Lieutenant. So, good in the early game, good in the late game. You can see why that's played and constructed. Thraben Doomsayer. Tap, create a 1/1 white human creature token. And at the fateful hour, as long as you have 5 or less life, other creatures you control get +2/+2. Incentivize people to attack and kill you, I guess. Unexpectedly absent. Put target non-land permanent into its owner's library just beneath the top X cards of that library. So it's a tuck spell for an instant. That's kind of interesting, actually. I kind of like that. As just a... it's a bit expensive for white when you have other things that will kill stuff for cheaper. For at least creatures. Disciple of Bolas, human wizard, enters the battlefield, sacrifice another creature, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. Okay. Painful Truth, draw X cards. So black is in here for the card draw. Zathra Necromancer, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Cool. Ooh, love this. Alesha who smiles at death. This is a very fun commander, and very cheap if you just want to buy it outright. What does Alesha do? It's a 3/2 first strike, and when it attacks, you can pay hybrid white-black, and if you do, return target creature card with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. So you get a bunch of small ETB creatures. Look up the lists on like EDH Rec. Play Alesha, make Alesha like indestructible or hard to stop. You know, first strike is good too, and it just comes in. You just can start snowballing with it very quickly. It's sort of like the original Winota, Joiner of Forces. Captivating Crew, gain control of target creature and opponent controls, untap that creature, so it's an active treason effect. Fumiko the Lowblood, Samurai, 3/2. It's Bushido X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. What is Bushido? Whenever this creature blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +X/+X until end of turn. And creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able. So, yeah, I guess you get them, you incentivize them to attack with a bunch of creatures, and you wreck them. Magus of the Wheel. It's a good way to play Wheel of Fortune if you can't afford 100, 200, whatever, how much it's going for. Just put it on a body and you have to wait a turn, but good card draw for red. Outpost Siege, another red card draw, because one of the options here is cons. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. Till end of turn, you may play that card. Shared Animosity. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. I wonder how that works in this deck. A bajillion humans attack. They all get +bajillion. Bajillion. It's a real word. Don't look it up. Titan of Eternal Fire. Each human creature you control has tap, red tap. This creature deals 1 damage to any target, so that seems very expensive. I think I would take that card out. Adriana, Captain of the Guard, melee. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attacked with the creature this turn. So melee is like the commander. Is it from Battle Bond? I don't know. It's a commander thing where it tries to incentivize you to spread out your attacks across all your opponents, which is generally not what you want to do. But this gives other creatures you control melee, so I guess, you know, maybe you get extra damage by doing that with Adriana. Crackling Doom, 2 damage to each opponent. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. So that seems pretty good, actually, for 3 mana. And we have Nahiri the Harbinger. +2, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. -2, exile target enchantment, tapped artifact, or tapped creature. Nice that it hits enchantments there, which don't tap. And the big -8 ultimate, search your library for an artifact or creature card, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle your library. It gains haste, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Why do you have to return it to your hand? Can't have +8 ultimate. I guess you're only 2 turns away from ultimating, but Battlefield Forge, Painland. Exotic Orchard, great land. Coming to the Ikoria cards, we got Sanctuary Lockdown, Bastion of Remembrance. These are like all the cards you pull out of packs anyway, so it can save you from buying Ikoria packs, I guess. Dire Tactics, General's Enforcer. You don't get the General Kudro Lisa Kudrow's dad over here. So I guess that's the mythic you would chase and get out of their Ikoria pack. We got an Impetus. All those Impetuses in our colors. Banish your Priest. Enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls. Okay, removal. Cavalry Pegasus. Gives the human flying until end of turn. Devout Chaplain. Tap 2 untap humans you control. Exile target artifact or enchantment. That's cool. Repeatable removal. I like that. On theme with the humans, too. Ambitions cost, card draw. Zulaport Cutthroat, Prince of Many Combos. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. If there are combos where you just cycle killing a creature and bringing it back, you can win with this guy. Humble Defector, tap draw 2 cards, target opponent gains control of Humble Defector. Activate this ability only during your turn. Okay, I guess it's card draw. Vigilante Justice, whenever a human enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to any target. Probably some combo there with just make infinite humans and win the game. Garna the Blood Flame. I believe this is from Dominaria. It's a human warrior 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. Other creatures you control have haste. Giving everything haste, not to be underrated ability. Terminate. Destroy target creature. Can't be regenerated. And just, hey look, the rules of magic. Alright. So that is the Jirina Kudro deck. Last one, Enhanced Evolution. Otrimi, the Ever-Playful. So this is the Mutate deck. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to play Mutate on Arena, or somehow in paper, maybe with your friends with the pre-release packs over Zoom or something. This is a Nightmare Beast. It mutates for 4, or it costs 6 to play straight out. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, return target creature card with Mutate from your graveyard to your hand. Let me tell you something I don't like right here. Look, do you see the spacing of the text on that side and the spacing on that side? That just seems like bad layout. Okay, well, enough of being picky on that. Let's see if the small version matches. And it does. Look at that text. Leave a comment. Did things like that bother you? Are you persnickety about text? Leave a hashtag persnickety in the comments. All right. Otrimi, we just talked about what Otrimi does. Zaxara the Exemplary, this is the X spell guy I was talking about. Legendary creature, Nightmare, Hydra, Death Touch, 2/3. Taps, adds 2 mana of 1 color. That's cool. There's ways to combo with that. And then whenever you cast a spell with X and its mana cost, create a 0/0 green Hydra creature token, then put X +1/+1 counters on it. Fun. I like X spells. I like Unbound Flourishing from Modern Horizons. Great card. Sort of like the doubling season of X spells. And our partners are Kaiser, Ruthless Stalker. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Okay, that's an ability that's been around for a long time in Magic. Not that exciting, but we do have Ukima, Stalking Shadow, as the partner, and it's a 2/2 that can't be blocked, and when it leaves the battlefield, it does X damage to target player, and you gain X life, where X is its power. So, I think there are combos for that. It is a legendary creature, Whale Wolf. Artist had fun illustrating that. We got a bunch of 3/3 beast tokens. And that's all. Just 3/3 beasts. Okay. Interesting. Blighted Woodland, Command Tower, Dimmer Aqueduct, Golgari Rot Farm, Mortuary Mire, Mirrored Landscape, Opulent Palace, the tri-land for these colors, Rogue's Passage, Classic Land, great in a lot of commander decks, Simic Growth Chamber, Soaring Sea Cliff, can give a creature flying when it comes in. When it comes in tap, Temple of the False God, Dismal Backwater, Jungle Hall, Thornwood Falls, again lands, Swamps, Forests, Souvenir Snatcher. This is a 4/4 bird that mutates. Whenever this creature mutates, gain control of target non-creature artifact. That seems fun. Tidal Barracuda is a 3/4 fish. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash. Oh, giving everybody a Leyline of Anticipation or Valdalcan Orrery. But that seems bad. Let me read on though. But your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Oh, so it's slightly less bad. So I mean, if your deck is built around this, I throw it in. I think I actually have an underwater deck that's all underwater creatures, and that's a fish. That is going in there. Boneyard Mycodrax, fungus. I also collect spores, molds, and fungus, so I love this card. But what does it do? Power and toughness is each equal to the number of the creature cards in your graveyard. Seems like it would have been better in the Cathedral deck. Scavenge, 5 mana, exile this card, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to this card's power on target creature. Deadly Rollick. So is this our free spell for this deck? If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. Yep. Exile target creature.
Exile, nice. Deals with
gods. Save that for when your opponent plays the Locust God. Great card. Dredge the Mire. Each opponent chooses a creature card in their graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Nice for a mill deck too. Mind Leecher. Here's another mutator. 5/5 flying. Whenever this creature mutates, exile the top card of each opponent's library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. Cool ability. Difficult to play in Zoom games. I was looking at other... There's like... it's a Praetor's Grasp, where you go through your opponent's library and exile a card face down that you can play to swear people to secrecy to not look at the screen while you're doing that, I guess. Capricopian, Goat Hydra. This is fun. Enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters, and then for 2 you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then you may reselect which player it's attacking. Only the player Capricopian is attacking may activate this ability. That's... could be fun, could also just die. I guess you choose whether it's attacking.
unless it gets goaded.
Sawtusk Demolisher, a beast that mutates for 4, 6/6 trample, and when it mutates, destroy target non-creature permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. Manascape Refractor enters the battlefield tapped. It has activated abilities of all lands on the battlefield. Nice. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to pay the activation costs of Manascape Refractor's abilities.
I like this a lot.
I don't know what deck I'm going to put it in, but I'm going to put it in something, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Mind Spring, card draw, Deadly Tempest, board wipe in black. That's cool. I might have a use for that, actually. Profane Command. Choose 2. Target player loses X life, more X spells. Return target creature with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Target creature gets -X/-X until X turn. Up to 2X target creatures gain fear until end turn. Might have a use for that, too. Very versatile card. Animus Awakening, ramp, right? Just, you put a bit lands in battlefield tap. Beast Whisperer, classic card draw for green. Genesis Hydra, classic green, like, get stuff out of your library. Also an X spell. Hungering Hydra. You're going to see a lot of these Hydras in my Gargos deck that I have a bunch of Hydras in. And a bunch of X spells in. Masked Admirers. It enters the battlefield, draw a card. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay 2 green. If you do, you can bring it back from your graveyard. Okay. Alright, I guess. 1/1 Indestructible. When it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter. And if it kills stuff, it gets more counters. 3 green. Bit hard to cast in 3 color. Fastwood Hydra. Another X Hydras. When it dies, you may distribute a number of X counters equal to the number of counters on Vastwood Hydra among any number of creatures. Cool. Vorapede. 5/4 Vigilance Trample, Undying. So your whole mutate pile gets Undying, so they'll all just come back with -1/-1 counters. Cold-Eyed Selkie, 1/1 Island Walk, and when it deals combat damage, you may draw that many cards. Great with mutate, right? Just put the 6/6 trample on that, hit the player with the island, and Bob's your uncle. Find Finality, Gaze of Granite, destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost X or less, so board wipe. Nissa, Steward of Elements. This is a good planeswalker. Has X loyalty, +2 scry 2, 0. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card or a creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of loyalty counters on it, you may put that card onto the battlefield.
Nice.
And then -6, untap up to 2 target lands you control. They become 5/5 elemental creatures with flying and haste, and they're still lands.
Just until end of turn, though.
Villainous Wealth. This is a great card. Target opponent exiles the top X cards of their library. So you can easily imagine casting this for X equals 6 or 7 or 10. And then you can cast any number of spells with converted mana cost X or less from among them without paying their mana costs. Just so good. Widwin, the Biting Gale. It's a fairy wizard. 3/3, flash flying. Blue and a black, pay 1 life, return it to its owner's hand. Nice mutate target, I guess. Lifecrafters Bestiary, scries, and then when you cast a creature spell, you can pay green, and if you do, draw a card. Good draw for green creature decks. Silent Arbiter. No more than 1 creature can attack each combat. No more than 1 creature can block each combat. Cool ability. It's on an artifact. Guess if you're Voltroning it up, then you might want to play that in your deck.
Ready to form Voltron!
Signet Land, desert, that when you sacrifice it... Oh, this lets you bring creatures back, so you can just they're going to die, store them up inside this desert, and then sacrifice it, bring back your creatures. Exotic Orchard, great land. Llanowar Waste, Pain Land. Sunken Hollow, this is the basic land tap land. Bunch of forests, some islands. Bonder's Ornament, Arcane Signet, love it. Sol Ring, love it. Archipelagore, there you go. So there's some good stuff just out of the Ikoria set. Dreamtail Heron, Pouncing Shore Shark, Cavern Whisperer, Chittering Harvester, Satiable Hemophage, Stark. You would definitely put that in if it didn't have it. Fertilid is not a mutate card from the new set. It's a reprint from the new set, but has +1/+1 counters. So when you mutate on it, you get to keep counters and make your creature bigger. Speaking of +1/+1 counters, Recluse is a mutate card from the set. Migration Path, Cycling and Ramp, Great Horn, Mutate and Ramp, Boneyard Lurker, Graveyard Recursion Mutate, Trumpeting Gnar. That's what your 3/3 beast tokens are for. Guess they're presuming you're gonna make a bunch with the Gnar. The Gnar's mutate ability is actually expensive. You kind of would play it out as the start of a mutate pile. Psychic Impetus, Parasitic Impetus, Predatory Impetus, Illusory Ambusher is a cat illusion, 4/1 flash. Whenever it's dealt damage, draw that many cards, so put that in front of your opponent's Voltron, I guess. Mole Drifter, classic card. It's originally printed at Common, I believe, so it's a star and popper. Propaganda, this is a great card, and I think it's at least about $10 value before the set was released, at least. So you paid 2 for each creature that's attacking you thing. It's, well, I'm blanking. There's another one that's in white, but anyways, Propaganda. I need one of those for one of my decks. I'm going to set that aside. Shriek Maw. This is an evoke creature that when it enters the battlefield, you can destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature, aka Terror. For all you old school players like me. Beast Within, classic green commander card. Destroys a permanent, makes it a 3/3 beast. Hero's Bane, Hydra, you can double up when you put mana. Kadama's Reach, 1 comes onto the battlefield tapped and 1 goes to your hand, so it's fixing and ramp. Crossing Grip, split second ability. Classic commander, you know, if you play at the higher levels, being able to shut down the stack is pretty amazing. Reclamation Stage, removal on a body. Yavimaya Dryad, 2/1 Force Walk. When it enters the battlefield, you search your library forest card, put it on the battlefield tapped, under target player's control. Guess you could even use this politically. I didn't realize that. Not the best. Green has so many ramp cards. It's not the best, but, you know, it's an interesting card anyway. Putrefy, destroy target artifact or creature. Trigon Predator, this is an oldie, but a goodie. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment that player controls. A nice ability to get in your mutate pile. And that is Otrimi the Ever-Playful deck. Alright, well, thank you for hanging out here in the attic with me, the Mana Dad. Leave a comment if you're an old player or a new player, what you're going to do with these Commander 2020 cards. Is it too expensive to buy the set? Are you just going to get one deck? Are you going to trade just for the cards that you want, or buy just the cards you want? Let me know. I think it's a great set, great value. If you play Commander, or if you're looking to get into Commander, it gives you a great base to start with. I think obviously for value, the one you want to get is the Gavi Nest Warden, because you can sell off a couple cards out of there and basically make your money back. But, you know, you've seen the panoply of different strategies, a lot of stuff combos nice and well with the new Ikoria set, so I just think the guys and gals at Wizards and the design team are doing fantastic work. It's a great time to be playing the game of Magic. Because remember, Magic is a game so fun, even dads can enjoy it. See you later.